edit my settings here. Okay, well, let's try to retry the broadcast. This is the first time everything is working, so just wanted to make sure that everything is okay. Okay, great. Well, please let me know in the chat if there are any problems. The first couple times will be a little bit clunky as I'm new to all this, as well as I'm sure many of you guys are all new to watching someone teach someone how to code via live stream. So let's go to Elementary's website, www.elementary.io, and you would want to first create a free account. So to do that, just click sign up. You want to go to create your account, and then you want to fill out the details, or you can sign in with Google, or you can also sign in with Facebook. Either of that works. And once you're ready, you just press submit and voila, you should be logged in. So I already have an account, so I'm going to click on log in, and my name is not David, so let me get rid of that and log in on my username. Assuming that my password is correct. Having difficulties on this computer. So why is this happening? Let's take a look. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I am now logged in. I hope everyone can take some time to log in, and we're going to take the rest of the time to create our story together. So to just give you an overview while everyone's trying to create their account and log in, we're going to first animate our name. So if you're a teacher, we do have a lesson plan called Animate Your Name in our curriculums. If you want to see how that works, you just go to curriculums, and we have Animate Your Name. Here, you can click on it, and it pretty much goes through what I'm going to do today, which is we're going to take our name and do a couple different animations. So here's some examples of how you can animate your name. So you can make things fade in, for example, like this case for Anna. You can also do different animations, like making it scale and blink. And if you have a really long name, you might want to use the play text effect function. So it's all up to you. And we'll also cover, if we have time, what parallel functions are, which is this case where you have two functions going and executing at the same time. And that's what we call parallel functions. And then if you feel like you really want to challenge yourself, you can create animations that are both in sequence and in parallel. So I hope everyone is on board. Let's get started. And I don't really see anything in the chat, but please introduce yourselves in the chat, say where you're from, and if you have any questions, do reach out in the chat. I have a great moderator on standby who'll make sure that any questions will get back to me. And there is a little bit of a delay between what I'm saying and what you'll hear, so sometimes I might go a little too fast and have to backtrack a little. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is click on the right button in the top right-hand corner. So this will bring you to your dashboard, and here you can find all of the stories that you've been working on. And in your case, you shouldn't really have that many stories, and if you're a new account, you won't have any stories here. And so we're going to write a new story. So click on the plus sign, and that should open up a brand new project. So if you're a brand new user on Elementary, you'll most likely have a tutorial like this with how to make a dragonfly. For right now, let's just try to do this tutorial together, okay? So we're going to click on Start Tutorial. And while I'm going through this tutorial, I'm going to talk about some coding concepts that we're going to learn today. So the first step is to grab your dragon and bring him onto the page like so. So you can resize him, you can rotate him, you can move him wherever you want. I'm going to do it like this. So once you're okay, just press the next button. Okay. Now we're going to go to what is called the event graph. So click on the event graph button at the top, and it will flip the page to its back side. Now here is where you can code by connecting blocks together. In this case, we want to animate the dragon, so we're going to need to grab a function called Animate. So go to the Functions tab and grab the block called Animate. So functions are basically what we're telling, it's like the verb. It's telling what we're doing. So in this case, we're going to animate. But other functions can be like go to another page, or move, or scale, or rotate. These are all actions that we want to execute. So now we want to grab an event. In this case, the event we want is on page start, because we want to animate the dragon when the page starts. And the last block we're going to grab is the dragon. Okay, so now we have 3 blocks on a page like this. Does your page look similar to my page? We want to have the event block usually on the left-hand side, and the event block is telling us when we're going to execute our code. So when are we going to animate? We're going to animate when the page starts. Okay, so we can move the blocks around, and like I mentioned, try to have your event blocks on the left-hand side of the page. It makes things a little bit less messy. So when you're ready, click the next button. Okay, so now we need to connect the blocks together. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to take the triangle from on page start, and we're going to drag it over and connect it to the triangle in the animate block. Great. Now take the purple circle of the dragon block and connect it to the purple circle on the animate block. Okay, so we connected everything together, but we haven't selected an animation. In this case, the dragon only has one animation. So when I double click, or when I click on the drop down, I'll have the animation flying. There's only one animation to choose from. Other animation objects can have multiple animations I can choose from. So we need to choose and select flying. Now you can click on the preview button. And your dragon will now be flying. Great. So, as a recap, there are 2 sides of every page on Elementary. We have the front side, which is where we put the dragon, and we can create our layout. And then we have the back side, which is where we can code our animations and our interactions. Great. So let's go back to the layout, and today we're going to learn how to animate our name. So let's create a new page. You can create a new page by clicking on the plus page button right here, and it creates a new page. So the first thing we want to do is to create our name. We're going to grab a text object. So click on the text tab on the right-hand side, and you can just grab the first one and drag it on the page. You can also just click to add it to the page as well. So you'll notice it says add title. Add title is not our name, so we're just going to double click into it, and we're going to spell out our name. So in my case, my name is Nicole. So we can resize our name, and we can also change the color of the font. So let's say I want to make it purple, and I also want to change the font style. So maybe I want something like this. That looks pretty cool. Okay, so right now it's just a picture on a page. It's not moving, nothing's happening because we haven't coded anything to happen. So in order to code, where do we need to go? We need to go to the event graph. That's right. So click on event graph. Now, here we have the back side of the page again, and we want to code an animation. So let's try to play a text effect, like a typewriter effect. The function we're going to get is the play text effect block. And we need to have an event. So in our case, I want to play the animation when the page starts. So on page start, play text effect. What do I want to play the text effect of? Well, I want to play the text effect of my name, which is the text object. Okay, so now we have 3 blocks on a page. How do we connect them together? Well, we take the white triangle of on page start, and we connect it to the white triangle on the play text effect function block. Now what? Now we take the purple circle and we connect it to the purple circle. Great. So you'll notice it says typewriter and the speed is medium. Let's just preview to see what that looks like. So let's click on the preview button. Awesome. So let's play around with the effect. What if we want to do fade? What does that look like? So let's preview. And it fades in. So you can play around with the effect, and you can also play around with the speed. So if you want to fade it in really, really fast, you can do that as well. So that is one example of how you can animate text. But when we looked at the examples before at the beginning, there were different letters doing different things. So how do we do that? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually leave this page and I'm going to create a new page. I'm going to duplicate this page, copy it. So I'm going to click on the little triangle here. It'll have a drop down, and I want to click on Duplicate Selected Page. Now this will copy the previous slide as well as all of the code. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this function. I don't care about it anymore. And I'm going to, let's split up my name a bit. Let's say I want NI together. And I can copy and paste this text box by clicking on Copy and then Paste. You can also use keyboard shortcuts like Control-C, Control-V to do the same exact thing. So NICO and copy, paste, LE. So I can make maybe these a different color, like that. And if you're on a computer like a desktop or a laptop and you have access to a mouse, you can drag and select everything and move it around the page. And you can also resize it. So right now I want to do 3 different animations. 3. And I want to sequence these animations so that one comes after the other. So for example, maybe I want to fade in the purple NI. Then I want to fade in the blue CO. And then finally, I want to fade in the pink LE. Let's see how we can do that. So once again, to code, we need to go to the event graph. And I'm going to grab 3 functions. And in this case, they're going to be the same functions. I'm going to grab fade. So let's grab 3 fade blocks. Functions, remember, are the actions. They tell the code what to do. And we want to use the same event on page start. So on page start is when we're going to execute the code, when this code is going to run. And I need my 3 objects, so let's grab them. Now, how do you think we connect everything together? So first, we want to make the NI fade in. So it's the same thing as we did previously. We're going to connect on page start to fade. And what are we fading in? We're fading in the purple NI. Okay, so let's preview this to see what it looks like. And you see it fades in. But you see that the CO and the LE, they stay there. We don't want them to just stay there. We want them to also fade in. So how do we do that? Well, if we want the functions to go in sequence, that means one after the other, we just need to grab the end of the fade function and connect it to the beginning of the second fade function. So this is saying after my purple NI fades in, then I want something to fade in. What do we want to fade in? We want the CO to fade in. So let's take a look at that. Let's press preview. Okay. And what do you think we do for the last step? Well, we're going to take the end of the fade block for the CO, and we're going to connect it to the last fade block. And then we're going to take the LE and connect it to the last fade block. So this is functions in sequence. That means one function goes after another function. So you can think of it as like a recipe. We're saying that this occurs first, then this occurs second, and finally this occurs last. So let's take a preview to see how the code works. Great, so now you have each of these letters fading in, one after another. So let's take a look at direction, and there's a drop-down menu. So direction, you can choose from a list, and you can say maybe I want to fade it in to the right, or to the left, or to the bottom, or to the top. So let's fade it into the right and see what that does. So you see that the NI shifts and fades in a little bit to the right. Now play around with the other directions. Maybe I want the CO to fade into the top. And maybe I want the LE to fade, I don't know, to the left. And preview to see how that happens. Great, so this is an example of animating your name with functions in sequence. Now you can replace any of these functions with maybe another function. So maybe instead of fade, I want to, I don't know, I want to rotate it. Let's find the rotate block. And I'm going to connect it. And the purple circle to the purple circle. And I need to specify how many degrees I want to rotate it. So if you want to rotate it in a full circle, that's 360. And then you have to select a duration. So if you want it to rotate really fast, you leave it at 1 second. If you want to rotate it a little slower, you can put 2 or 3. So let's try 2. And let's just preview to see what happens. Great, so now you see the LE rotates after the first 2 segments fade in. Now you can play around with the easing and just see, like let's say I want to ease in out elastic. That's pretty fun. Then you have an easing to your animation. Okay, but it's a little weird to have the first 4 letters fade in and then the LE is just kind of there. So how do we make it fade in and also rotate at the same time? Well, to do that, we're going to grab our fade block again. And if you want 2 functions to occur at the same time, all you have to do is connect them like this. So if we follow the arrows, on page start, I want to fade my NI. Then I want to fade in my CO. And then I want to do 2 things at the same time. I want to fade and I want to rotate. So if you want to have two functions occurring at the same time, in programming, we typically call that parallel. We want to execute functions in parallel. So sequence is one after the other. And if you want to do it at the same time, this is parallel. So let's preview and check it out. Awesome. So now we've kind of covered functions in sequence as well as functions in parallel. I want you to now play around with other functions. You can try blink. You can try bounce. You can try move. And see what these functions do to animate your name. So check it out, play around with it, and have fun animating your name. And once you're done animating your name, you can go back to the layout and make your layout a little bit prettier. So let's add a background image. I don't know, what's a nice background image? Let's see. Oh, this one's kind of cute. I like this. And maybe I want to add some more text at the top. And I can say something like, hello, my name is Nicole. And then you can go to the image tab. So on the right hand side, we covered the text tab, where you can also add speech bubbles. And you have an image tab, and here you can sort and search what kind of creature you want, or human or object. So for example, maybe I want some animals on this page. What's a cute animal? Oh, this bumblebee is really cute. Let's bring this bumblebee on the page. Oh, he's very big. That's a big bumblebee. And I'm going to add this bumblebee to the page. And maybe I want to add this raccoon as well. And you can add a speech bubble that says, nice to meet you. And you can resize it and change the font. Great. So now let's preview it and take a look. Awesome. So that's our first page in our interactive About Me book. And I want you to now spend the time to play around with creating different animations to your name, or also maybe just adding other animations to the page. Like for example, maybe I want the nice to meet you to happen after everything has faded in. To do that, we're going to do functions in sequence again. And we want it to occur, let's say, after the LE. After the LE rotates and fades in. So we're going to take the little triangle to the right. This is when it ends. And we're going to connect it to the function of what's going to begin right after this ends. And I want to, let's say, fade in. Nice to meet you. And I'm going to preview it to see what it looks like. Great. And you can also play around and make things bounce. So once again, maybe after Nice to Meet You finishes animating, I want to make my bee bounce. So let's see what that looks like. So after it's done fading, I want to connect it to the beginning of the next action, which is bounce. And what am I bouncing? I'm bouncing the little pink bee. Oh, it bounced kind of funny. Okay, great. I think that's a bit of a bug, which will be fixed. So let's remove bounce for now. It's a little strange looking. Awesome. So I think that will be the end of understanding how to animate your name. And for the rest of the time, really just play around with it. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to be continuing to make my page a little bit prettier and to animate my page a little bit more. So yeah, follow along with me. I'll continue streaming about what I'm going to be doing. And tomorrow, we're going to be learning how to record a voiceover for adding more depth to your interactive About Me book. So tomorrow we're going to write a little bit about ourselves and then create a voiceover so that way people can hear what we have to say. And I think the day after that, we will then create a small game on 2 truths and 1 lie to just make our book a little bit more fun. So how does that sound for everyone? And I'm going to take a 2-minute quick break, and I'll be back to continue with my coding, and you can follow along with me as I continue to make this page prettier and just more fun. Okay? We'll see you soon. Anyway, I'm back. I had to talk to our lovely moderator. Unfortunately, we're trying to use Restream to push out the content to all platforms, and it's supposed to take in all the chat, but I'm not actually able to see all the chat, so I had to go to his side to see the chat and make sure that everything is okay. But yeah, definitely this is the first time, so there's going to be a little bit of bumps along the way, but bear with us. Getting some water first. Stay hydrated, stay safe at home. Okay, Okay, I'm back to coding a little bit more of my story. It's not really much of a story, it's just my name, but we'll get to the story part soon. So I'm going to go back to event graph, and I think it's kind of weird to have my animations occur and not have any of this animate. That's just kind of strange for me. So what I want to do is I want to play a text effect for hello, my name is, and then play all of the animation that we have already done. So to do that, I'm just going to disconnect on page start with the fade. And I'm going to add another function, play text effect, like so. So play text effect. After I finish playing text effect, then I want to fade in the NI. So where is my text box? Hello, my name is. Yes, this is the right one. And I'm going to just connect it like so. So all I did was remove the connection between on-page start and fade, and I just inserted this new function that's going to go and play before all of the animation I already did before. So let's check out to see what it looks like. Awesome. Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit better. And yeah, now we're going to have a little bit of fun, and maybe I want to, when I click, so let's try the click event. So we previously looked at the event on page start, and this event is pretty awesome because most people are going to use it on almost every page. Because we often want to execute code on page start. But we have other events as well, and they are on click once, on drag over once, on text input, and on text input once. So let's just take a look at the on click and on click once first. And we'll probably take a look at the other events as we go along the weeks because they're a little bit more complex. So what's the difference between onClick and onClick once? Well, one of them has once in it. So what does that even mean? Let's show by example. What if, let's say, I want to be able to click on my little raccoon character? So I'm going to click on my raccoon character, and what do I want to make him do? Maybe I want to, let's try making him move, okay? I want to make him move. So when I click on the raccoon character, I want to move. And what do I want to move? Well, in this case, I want to move the raccoon character. So let's try this out. So let's just press preview and see what happens. And nothing happens really. Oh wait, I have to click on him. So when I click on him, nothing happens. Why? Let's go back and look. So we have move, X is 0 pixels and Y is 0 pixels. So he's not going anywhere, this raccoon. He's staying where he is. Now let's try adding a bigger number. Let's say 500. Now let's preview. Okay, great. So when I click on him, he moves. And when I click on him, he moves again and disappears off the page. So maybe that's not quite the action that we want to have on the page. It might be something that you want, but maybe I only want to be able to click on him once. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this block. I can remove it the connections. Let's do that. And I'm going to replace it with on click once. Now let's preview. So I didn't mention this before, but you'll notice that there's a glow effect around the raccoon, and it wasn't there before. And all this means is that the user, so the reader or the player, the student, whoever's reading this thing, has the ability to interact with this object. Most of the time that means they can click on it, and sometimes that means they can drag it, but it means they can do something with this object. You notice the bee is not glowing because I can't do anything to the bee. But I could do something to this raccoon. I can click on him. And on click once, you'll notice I can't click on him anymore. And he's no longer glowing because on click once just triggers the function one time. Okay, does that make sense a little bit? Okay, so maybe 500 is, or maybe I want to make him dance. So let's make him dance a bit. I want to make him move 500 pixels to the right, and then I want to make him move 500 pixels to the left. So you can use the same block. You can do it like this to connect it, or you can also grab another raccoon and connect it this way. And if you're working on a smaller screen, we do have this lovely full screen button. So if you click on this, and voila, you have all of your code on a full screen. So it makes it a little bit easier to navigate and to just view all your code in one place. So how do we make him go backwards? This is a great question to ask your kid because oftentimes they forget that negatives exist. So they might say 0, and let's see what 0, 0 does. If I click on preview, and he doesn't go anywhere. So to make him go backwards, we need to add a negative number. So let's try negative 500. So that way he goes back to his original spot. And we can click on preview again to see if the code works. Awesome. So now he goes to the right, and then he goes to the left really quickly afterwards. So another function that's pretty fun is the wait function. And this is nice if you want to have some time just not doing anything, just waiting. So let's try to find the wait function. It's here. So wait. And you can wait a certain amount of seconds. So I'm going to say I want to wait 2 seconds before I move backwards again. So I'm going to click on preview. And when I click on him, 1, 2, and then he moves backwards. Okay, so I'm going to add maybe some butterflies on my page because I can. I'm going to search for some butterflies. Butterfly. Do I have butterflies? Oh, I do. I have one butterfly here. Great. So you can add butterflies. And I kind of like this artist. So if I hover over it, you'll notice it's by Digital Artsy. I can also search to see other stuff by this artist. So you'll notice there's some really cute stuff. Oh, this is a cute bird. Let's add this bird also. So when you're playing around with the layout, you'll notice that we have copy and paste. We covered that a little bit. You also have bring to the front and take to the back. So bring to the front and take to the back. What that means is I can just bring it to the front or take it to the back. This is really cool if you want to hide any objects on a page and create like an I Spy book, or if you just want to be very creative about layering different like trees and animals on top of each other. So for example, if I want to add an extra tree here, I'm really bad at art, but it's not bad. Great. So I'm going to add some more animation. Maybe I want the butterfly to blink. Let's try making him blink. I could use the same on-page start block here, or I can add another one. So in my case, I want to just add another on-page start block simply because it will look cleaner. And I want to maybe wait, let's say 4 seconds, and then I want to blink the butterfly. So I'm going to preview. And you'll notice that it fades out and then it fades back in. And that's all that blink does. It's a pretty easy function. So maybe I want to make the butterfly keep on blinking. So how do I do that? I can add another wait block. Where's wait? Wait is here. And I'll add another blink block. So since I'm using the same butterfly, I can just connect it like this. And as a tip, when you're doing any of the coding, the arrows should go from left to right. So the sequence should be left to right. Try not to make your blocks like this. It just makes it completely unreadable. And you don't know where anything goes. So try to sequence them properly, make them go left to right to make the logic a little bit cleaner. So let's take a look at that and let's see what the final result is. Great. So it's a little strange for the bird to be stomped on by the raccoon. So I'll make him move over a little. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Great. So I'm going to add a new page and I'm going to make a... should I make this my cover page or should I make a cover page? I'll make a cover page. So tips for making a pretty cover page is to find a background that you like. Maybe this is a cute background also. or maybe something more artistic. And you want to maybe put an overlay on top of it. So in this case, we're not going to use green. Don't worry. What we're going to do is we're just going to take a shape, in this case the rectangle, and we're going to cover the entire slide with it. Now you're going to change the color to black, and then go to the little teardrop icon. Click on that. This is the opacity, and you can adjust the opacity. Now this is important because when you write text, sometimes it's really difficult to see it on certain backgrounds. Like if I were to remove this and I wanted to have, let's say, white text, it's a little difficult to read. So we're going to add this overlay on top. And all about Nicole. So all about Nicole, I'm going to change the font. Which font do I like? I feel like this takes up so much of my time, just picking a specific font I like. Great. I like this font. It makes me feel sophisticated. Okay, so let's see how much time we have. Oh, we're almost out of time. So I'm just going to do one last thing of coding before we sign out, and hopefully tomorrow we can continue, and you can continue with me to create our interactive About Me books with voiceover and writing paragraphs. So the last thing I want to do is cover sounds, in particular the play music. So in order to do that, let's go to the Sounds tab. So we covered the text, images, backgrounds, and now let's go to Sounds. So we're going to go to Sounds, click on that, and there's a tab for music and there's a tab for sound effects. So we're going to focus on music, and we're going to just find the music that we like. So happy faces are typically the happy songs. Maybe happy piano. That doesn't sound very happy. What about this one? Okay, I like late lunch, so we're going to add this to our page by clicking on the plus button. So you click on the plus button to add it to the page. So you'll have a little text that says, use the play music function block. Okay, so you'll notice now there's a little 1 here in red. And if we click on that, it just shows the sounds on this page. So in my case, I have one sound on this page, which is happy lunch, the one I just added. But if you had other music or sound effects or voiceovers, then they would just all be listed here. So I'm going to now go to the event graph to code, and I'm going to grab on page start, our favorite event. And I want to now play the background music. So I need a function, play music, play music, play music, this one. So what are we going to do? We're going to play the music. In this case, it's 2 blocks, and it's pretty easy to connect them. You just, boom, connect it. Now, you'll notice it says select a music. If you didn't add any music, you won't be able to select a music. It'll just be unselectable. But in our case, we did add a music to the page. So when we click on select music, you'll see here it is, late lunch. Click on that. Now, by default, you can change, the volume is 100. You can change that so it's a little bit quieter. And by default, it also repeats. So that means when the music is done playing, it'll just repeat and start over again. So this music continues across pages. It doesn't stop unless you tell it to stop or unless you change the music. So you use a different music. So let's take a look at it or take a listen to it and press preview. Okay, great. So you can hear the music. It's a bit quieter, and that's because we want to make sure that if we record a voiceover, that the voiceover will be heard no matter what. And then you can click on the arrow button to navigate or swipe left or right. Great, and those are our first 2 pages of our interactive About Me book. Tomorrow we will be going through recording a voiceover, writing more about ourselves, and playing our voiceover to add some voice to our story. And then, like I said, afterwards we're going to make it more fun and add some game elements to it by creating a 2 truths, 1 lie to just round it out before we publish it. Okay, well, that's it from me. I think our time is up. If you have any questions, please let me know in the chat. I will respond right away. I'm sorry we weren't able to get everything working completely the first time, but we'll be better at it, I promise. And make sure to subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube or Twitch, or I guess for Facebook. I'm not really sure if you can subscribe to lives, but we'll figure it out. So that way, tomorrow at the same time, I will be streaming again and you can join in. And invite your friends, your pets, your nieces and nephews, your kids, teachers, parents, everyone, grandma, grandpa, to come in to write their own story. They don't have to cover what we just did today. They can just start from where we are tomorrow, and it's perfectly fine. Okay? So that's it from me, and I'll be signing out for today. So thank you so much for watching, and see you tomorrow.